products from Dragon Ball Super.
This is Paul St.
Super, and you're watching
Brian Awesome. There's a reason we call him Brian Awesome. It's because he's awesome, Brian. I, as Zennis, am truly awed by Brian.
Tsukasa from Persona 3. What?
No, I was like, I was looking through your anime list again. I was like, Cream the Rabbit.
Cream the Rabbit, yeah. Cream the Rabbit from Sonic the Hedgehog. Gosh, I mean, Tsukasa from Lucky Star, Yuki from Melancholy Haruhi Suzumiya. Young Satoru from Erased. Jill Valentine from Resident Evil. I think that's enough for now.
It seems as though when you look at the resume of a lot of people who's been affiliated with anime, it's like their resume is like at least 50 characters or roles, at least.
In some cases, I mean, I don't consider myself a 12-year-old boy, although I do act like it sometimes. So, but since this is a Q&A, do you guys have questions for me you want to ask?
I need to think of some.
Yes.
So, again, this is like, from Cream the Rabbit to Jill Valentine, that's like a big jump between the two. Like, how do you get to the headspace for some of these different characters?
So she's asking how I get into the headspace for some of these different characters. I'm like Tinkerbell. I'm like, music? What? Oh wait, I'm supposed to answer a question? So basically, I think what happens is like when you first get a role and you go in to do that role, when you're in the studio, you have an opportunity to kind of see that character, and then you get the description of them, and you have a chance to sort of formulate, like a lot of times with anime, they'll play you the Japanese preview so you get an idea of what the Japanese actress did. Sometimes they want you to follow it closely, sometimes they don't. So it just depends. Like, as far as the headspace goes, I generally will try and pick a couple of the main attributes of that character, and I'll hit those. You know, and if there's some other stuff that's more underlying, like some other stuff that they want to sort of weave in, I can do that and make her multi-dimensional or him multi-dimensional. But mostly I'll concentrate on a couple of different of the key attributes to get into the headspace of that character. So, and then of course the scene that you're in, who you're talking to, you know, the action, what's happening, all helps with that. So that's a good question. Yes, sir.
When it comes to doing a character that is carried over from anime to video game, like doing Rukia in the different Bleach video games, or Xenon in the SAO games, is there any difference in how you're directed to voice those characters? For example, Kawakami's going to get animated, old P5 is going to get a dub. Is there any kind of direction change in regards to the same character in a different setting?
Sure. Like, as far as like animated video game stuff, it's for the Japanese localization, it's pretty different. I mean, if Xenon is, hi guys, if Xenon is in a video game as opposed to, you know, the actual anime, the video game is going to be a little more elevated, just energy-wise, unless you're doing like, I don't know, unless you're doing like a battle scene or something from the show. But in general, most video games are a little bit more elevated in energy across the board, you know, rather than the anime. And plus too, with video games, you're not in a scene so much unless you're doing an RPG, or you're doing like the movie portion of the video game. It's mostly just like, you know, you're talking to the player and doing battle cries, or helping the game progress rather than telling a story. So, yes, sir.
First question: are you a member of SAG-AFTRA?
Yes, I am.
Then the next question is, how did was there any significant changes for video game recording prior and after the fight for
Anything brought from the video game contract?
Right, the strike. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that was
Yeah. Well, I mean, the main thing with the strike was for like battle stuff to protect the voices, like protect voice actors' voices, because what was happening is you could get booked for a video game, and let's say you're going in to do, World of Warcraft or, a Call of Duty. Technically, the producers can keep you for 4 hours. And trust me when I tell you, 4 hours of battle cries, you have no voice left. I mean, even after 2 hours, you have no voice left. So it's really like what they did was, it was just, to vocally protect us. So I have noticed, because I did do, an online game that was a battle game, and I remember the last couple of cues that we did, they literally asked me for like 100 efforts in a row of getting shot. So after you do like 100 times in a row, you're just like crunchy. So 2 hours for that, I was like, thank God this session is only 2 hours, because I don't think I could make it 4 hours, So that was a good thing that came out of it, for sure. We're being serenaded. He sounds a little like Harry Chapin, doesn't he? Do you guys know who that is?
You feel like a lollipop?
Is that what he's saying? Do you feel like a lollipop?
He actually kind of sounds like the singer from those Toy Story movies that would be like, "You got a friend in me."
Oh yeah.
Is there any new thing gonna happen with Gurren Lagann by chance ever? And also, what was it like in the Gurren Lagann studios?
Well, I wish that there was something coming for Gurren Lagann, because I love that show so much. It's one of my favorites. I have not heard of anything, so I'm gonna have to say no, unfortunately. If there was, I would be super excited about it. And as far as the studio goes, it was interesting because I got brought in to play Yoko. Another actress actually played Yoko, and they recorded 3 episodes with her. And I'm not going to say who it was. She's a very talented actress, but it wasn't quite right for the characters. So I got brought in, and I didn't know this at the time. I got brought in to voice her. And I was leaving for Italy like in 2 weeks, and they had to get like 12 episodes done. They wanted to get like the first part of this volume done before I left. So it was everyone was a little bit stressed, just because they had already recorded 3 episodes of it with somebody else and it didn't work. And then I was coming in and they weren't sure if I was gonna work, and I didn't realize it at the time, but that first session that I had was kind of an audition, even though we recorded like, I can't remember how many episodes we got through, maybe 1 or 2. I didn't realize that it was technically, if the producer didn't like it, I would have not come back. So thank God, knock on wood, it worked, and I was able to nail her character. The thing with Yoko is that they wanted that, like what we were talking about earlier, that multi-dimensional character, even though she's very upfront, and there's a couple of things about her that are very like in your face. They wanted some depth to her character, and I think that just comes with time. Like as as you're in the industry and you've been an actor for a while, you're able to bring that dimension to something that maybe somebody new wouldn't know how to do. So it wasn't any fault of the other actor, it just was a matter, I think, of experience,
How did you get the connections to get to the auditions?
He's asking how you get the connections to get to the auditions. So there's a couple of different ways that I do that. My dad was a salesman, so he was a very good businessman, and I think what happens I'm going to speak for Los Angeles because I don't know about the other cities in the US where this stuff happens, but a lot of it is about networking and meeting people, working with somebody, getting a recommendation, having that person recommend you, or using that person as a recommendation to somebody else. So, in LA, it's easier to get in the door if somebody has said, oh, they're really good, they're excellent at this, or they'd be good for this, or like if someone asks for a recommendation for a certain type of character, and someone says, oh, Michelle Ruff can do that, or she's really good, or she's easy to work with, great energy in the studio, whatever. So I make a lot of my connections and work. I get a lot of my work through people that I already know, recommending me to somebody else. And then once you get your foot in the door, the way that you make connections is you do a good job, you show up, you're responsible, you're somebody that people can trust, that they know you're going to do a good job for them. And then there's also the agent track. You make a demo tape and you get an agent, and then that agent gets work for you. That's the other way to do it. And then there's also, I guess there's some online voiceover, like casting sites, which I have not done, but for new people getting into the business, it's probably a good avenue, which you also have to do a demo tape and then, send it out, or do auditions, or you look online and you look for auditions and then you can submit that way. But you have to have it at home. Now, everything nowadays is recorded digitally. So you used to go in for auditions a lot. Now, a lot of times auditions, you do them from home. So you have to kind of learn how to self-direct, and you have to have, a recording set up at home. It doesn't, when you're first starting, like I have a booth my husband built me, a professional sound booth with an amazing microphone, and I have a Telefunken microphone, and HD Pro Tools, the whole thing. I didn't have that when I first started. When I first started, it was just, a microphone set up plugged into my computer. So, there's different ways to do it. And your iPhone, actually, there's apps on your phone. If I'm out someplace and somebody needs an audition right away, I just record it on my iPhone. There's like Twisted Wave. There's a couple of different apps, Twisted Wave, and do you want the name of the other one? I can get it for you. I have it somewhere. One of them has better sound quality than the other one. What is it called? Oh, there it is. Voice Record. So there's Voice Record and Twisted Wave. Voice Record has a little bit better sound quality, but Twisted Wave is easier to edit, like your auditions. I think Voice Record you can't edit, you just have to do it and do it good the first time, like in the old days when you would go in for an audition. So yeah, I actually just booked something I'm doing this week from my cell phone. Like, this lady was like, I sent you an audition this morning, did you get it? And I was like, yeah, I had to leave, at 7:30 this morning to get to studio, so I can't really record it right now. She's like, well, they need it by like noon. So I was literally in my car before going into the studio recording this audition for her, and I ended up booking it. So it's good to have. This has kind of changed things, changed technology. Yes?
Are they not usually quite as concerned about sound quality for auditions?
They are, which is why I say like voice record is better. I was in Italy this past summer and I got an audition for a series that I ended up booking. I just recorded it. We're doing pickups and stuff now. And I tested it out. I did voice record and I did Twisted Wave, and voice record just sounded better. So I did the audition on voice record and I sent it. I mean, it's not the best quality in the world, but it was good enough to book, you know. I find that I book more from home, usually because my booth is so amazing. And this microphone that I got is really like, I went to this place, Sound Kings, and I did, like I tested out all the mics. So I knew. Huh? Oh, Vintage Kings. So, yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What was it like voicing Robin in Fire Emblem Awakening, and what was your favorite line?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. We recorded that so long ago. I do not even remember one of my lines. Do you remember?
I know all of the critical hit lines.
That's awesome.
My friend's favorite is the checkmate line. And
Checkmate.
That strategy.
That's funny. Yeah, I don't remember what I did yesterday half the time, so I know, and I always feel bad when people ask me, because I should remember, especially a character like that, that's, you know, people really love.
She's amazing.
Thank you. I did have fun. I do remember I did have fun with her in the booth. I just don't remember much of what I said. So, yes, sir.
What have been some of your most memorable roles?
In the booth?
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you guys remember a show that I did? It was called Chobits. Okay, so I played Chi in Chobits. And this is probably when I first was getting a lot of roles in anime. I was working with a company called Genion, who's not in business anymore, unfortunately. They were wonderful. I think I had like 9 shows going with them at one time. But Chi, the producer on the Genion, the producer from Genion, was very specific about how they wanted her to sound when she said chi. Because for the first 12 episodes, that's all she says is chi. So it wasn't just that, it wasn't just chi, it was whatever her intent was. It was like talking through, but just that one word. The placement of her voice at one point, we were trying to find the placement of her voice, and it took us a while. And I remember just being in the studio and getting really frustrated because I wasn't getting it. You know what I mean? Frustrated with myself because I wasn't quite understanding what they wanted. Because it was like, well, he wants your voice to sound like it's coming out of the top of your head, but your tongue needs to be placed back a little bit. This is, I'm not making this up. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then it was like, but you have to have it has to be in your head, your head voice, not your chest voice, very high pitched. And so we finally got it, but it took me a bit. It took me probably about an hour to find her placement. But once we found it, it was fine for the rest of the episode. They would play my vocal ref back for me. They would say, they were like, okay, that's it, we're gonna save this. This is your vocal reference for the character for the rest of the series. So then that would be like, if I would go out, fall out of voice, they would be like, no, that's not her. Let's play it for you again, you know? Let me play it for you again. So then I would have to get back into that voice. So it was interesting. Most memorable, I mean, there's memorable good and there's memorable, you know, bad. That ended up being good in the end, but it was memorable only because it was one of those moments where I was like, dang it, if I don't nail this, I'm gonna get fired. You know, they're gonna find somebody else to play her. So, yes.
Were there any roles that had like not necessarily that you like enjoyed playing, but like had stories that you like really liked or stood out to you?
Yeah, well, Erased for me was really, really, like, it just got me. I don't know, how many of you have seen that? Okay, a couple of you. It's not, the story itself is not it's not your typical anime storyline, and it's, you know, there's no harems, there's no, like, it's very much real life. It's a real life subject about, you know, child abduction, and there's a really bad villain, and it's interesting in the sense that, do you know who Ben Diskin is?
Yeah.
So Ben Diskin plays Satoru at 29 years old. I play Satoru at 12 years old. Ben's character, I can't remember the name of the function, but he basically jumps through time, and he goes backwards in time. And what happens is that we end up back to back with each other, or like he'll be in a scene and I'll pop in as his 12-year-old voice, or we'll jump back and forth between, you know, the 12-year-old and the 29-year-old. So that particular show for me, I just feel like it's a subject that needs to be out in the open, and people need to understand about it. So it was important to me, and it was really emotional. Like there were a couple days where I just came out of the booth and I was just wrecked from like crying, because it was like, oh my God. So yeah. Yes, ma'am.
What's it like playing characters like with accented voices like Arena? Like those type of characters, like what's that like?
Playing accented voices. That's a good question, because sometimes it's hard. Well, first of all, because I'm not British, so bringing that, you know, accent, I always am afraid that it's not going to sound authentic. So I'm like a perfectionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. But then on top of it, having to sync, you know, sync the lines up. It's a different read if you've got an accent on it. So it's a little bit harder to do it that way. Yeah. Yes.
Speaking of Arena, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and a lot of other episodic series that have multiple reintroducing characters, multiple minor characters just jumping in. Have you ever thought or tried to get a minor role in a series later on in JoJo now that we're 4 parts in and essentially a century past Arena's life?
Oh, you mean with the new JoJo?
Getting a part in the same show.
No, I mean, I don't try, like, I think with Bang Zoom, because that's a Bang Zoom entertainment show, the casting director there, Mommy, is really, really good to me. So she will generally, like, if there's something they want me to play, they will bring me in for it. I usually don't ask, you know what I mean, with them, just because they know what I can do, and you know, sometimes the producer might be requesting somebody, so it's like I don't like to step on toes or be desperate with asking for work, you know. But I will audition for whatever, you know, if they throw something at me, I'll audition for it. Okay. Yes, at 6:30. Okay.
I'm going to make that.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed last autographs.
I'm at 6:30. But I'll stay, you know what, I'm gonna stay for you guys, so don't worry, you know. We won't cut the line. I'll make sure you all get an autograph. I don't wanna do that. So, yes, sir?
You had mentioned that there's a difference between like good memorable and bad memorable. So like off the top of your head, what was like the worst experience you had in voice acting?
The worst? Let's see, let me think about that. Oh, I remember. Okay, so I got brought in to do a character on Naruto when it first came out. And I was working with the director, and I didn't understand what they wanted, and I didn't nail it, and I had one session, and I didn't get brought back to play her. So, and I can't remember the character's name now, but they wanted kind of like a drill sergeant, but like dominatrix or something. I don't even know. Maybe, yeah. And I was like, yeah. I just wasn't getting it. It wasn't in my wheelhouse at the time. It might be now, but back then I just didn't understand how to bring that character to life. So that's one of those situations where it's like you get brought into studio and they ask you to do something, and if you're not prepared or you don't have those tools, you know, it ends up backfiring, which it did in that instance. So, sounds like there's a party going on out there. Yes.
What about how anime is getting noticeably less seasons and less episodes?
You mean shows are being made shorter?
Yeah, they've been made a lot shorter. At most you can get a 20 episode, but these days all you can find are like 12 episode ones, one season. That's all you can really find that's coming out these days.
I think it depends. Like, I think probably Netflix is doing a lot of shorter series. Is that what you're talking about?
I mean, like anywhere,
Crunchyroll.
Watch Mojo, the big ones. They just frequently coming out with like short animes. Some are good, but even then they don't have a chance.
Why don't they have a chance?
Because they're thinking it's like the other ones, so they're just making more and more anime frequently, but not giving a chance for season 2.
Well, I think it depends too. Like, I mean, there's some of the shows, some of the bigger shows that have come from Japan that have 26 episodes or 2 seasons or 3 seasons. You know, those are the ones that maybe they know from Japan that they're big sellers and they're big money makers, and they're gonna bring those to the U.S. and do the dubs for all the seasons. But even, I mean, I've worked on shows that are 12 episodes, 13 episodes, and they're really, like, the story kind of ends at the end of the show. So I mean, there really isn't anywhere to go with it. And I think some people probably like the shorter shows if it's not as much of a commitment, to sit and watch 26 episodes. Do you know what I mean? So it works for some people. Maybe it doesn't work for you, but it might work for someone else who, let's say has a full-time job and only has a certain number of hours a week that they can, give to that hobby. So for them, a 12-episode series might be perfect.
What I want to say is, like, sometimes it kind of feels a bit rushed. Like, they have to get everything done within 12 episodes. And then
Like the story seems rushed?
Yeah, like Darling in the Franxx, they sort of just, like, the last 2 episodes, they introduced a new whole thing of, like, billions of villains at once.
Did it bug you?
Yeah, and it was a good show, too.
Why you gotta go screw it up like that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a creative choice, that the company makes or the creators make when they're doing the show. So, Yeah, I can't. I wish I could speak more on that, but I don't know what the think is behind why they decide to do a shorter, shorter term than the larger one. Yes.
So I was just curious if, like, if you know you've got a role coming up, like within a week or certain amount of time, if there's like rituals or different ways you practice before that role. So, I watched an interview with Mark Hamill, and he was talking about when he was going to audition for the Joker. He just caught himself on the highway, just like doing the lap in the car, and he saw people in the car next to him looking at him, wondering if he was like crazy. So I didn't know if there was like a special ritual or different ways that you could practice to get yourself prepared for a certain role.
Right. Well, if it's original animation, I will do that. If it's a character that I'm auditioning for or that I've booked that I know I'm going in to do, generally what happens is you'll get a script before the session and you'll have a chance to kind of go through it. But I will go back to my original audition and I'll listen to what I did and just kind of practice that or practice, a key laugh. Because sometimes, like with character development, like with Joker, that laugh kind of gets you into the way you're gonna say a line. So, that crazy laugh will affect your read, technically. And that could be we call it a jump off point for when you're doing a character. It's a jump off point. So the Joker laugh is Mark Hamill's probably jump off point. He's brilliant, by the way. Oh my God. Yes.
Two-part question. One is related to anime. When do you think that the version of Sailor Moon that you're a part of will hit Toonami?
He's asking if Sailor Moon will hit Toonami. I don't know if it ever will. I'm not sure because Sailor Moon has a deal with, where is it on now? Is it on Hulu or Crunchyroll? Hulu. So I don't know that they'll bring it to Toonami. Not sure.
And then part two of my question is kind of unrelated somewhat, but what type of art background or classes have you had, and how do you think that's affected, your voice acting?
You mean like voiceover classes and stuff like that, or?
Either that or drawing or whatnot, and how do you think that what you learned from your art classes applies to your voice acting?
Well, I haven't really had any art classes, but I did a lot of improv in Chicago. So my start in the business, I'm not classically trained in theater, but I'm an improv theater actor. And I did Second City, I did Improv Olympic, and Players Workshop all in Chicago. So I would say that out of anything has affected my acting in a sense that I'm very much an improvisational actor. When I'm in the booth, it's great to have that skill because it just helps with creating a character off the cuff,
Awesome.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
What do you think about Rukia's Bankai?
I love Rukia's Bankai. I love Rukia.
And second part is, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want to. They recast a lot of the original dub cast for the live action.
For the movie, yeah.
But you did.
They didn't ask me back. Yeah. I did talk with the owner of the studio, and they said that Netflix they thought Jamie sent the original anime to Netflix for the voices, and they felt that Rukia and Renji and I can't remember the other Chad, I think it was, all sounded, visually, the way that they looked didn't match with the voices that we had done for the anime. So I was really upset about it. I'm fine with it now. It's totally cool. And I want the movie to do well just because I love the franchise. But that was a tough one for me. But yeah, they wanted to skew younger. It would have been nice if I had been given a shot to do it younger, and if it didn't work, then recast me, but that's not the way that they wanted to do it. So there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah, I just gotta keep moving.
You're great for
Thank you. Yes.
Could you say a line from Gurren Lagann?
Which one?
Whichever.
Give me a line. Give me your favorite line. What?
I just mean like just some random one from the show.
Your friend is laughing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look one up, and so I'll take another question in the meantime because I don't know. In the back? Yeah. Yep.
So, you know how Princess Eugenia feels about Lelouch?
Yes.
How she wants pretty much hated him because she felt that there was no good in him?
Yes.
Do you also feel that way when you were reading her?
That show, can I just tell you how brutal that show was to record? Oh my gosh. Who's seen Code Geass? Okay, so it's not really a spoiler alert. Yeah. Did I feel that way that I could save him? I did. I actually really did. And honestly, I didn't know anything about the show, so I didn't know how my character was going to end. Like, I didn't know that whole story arc. And I actually worked with Kevin Seymour on that. And Kevin is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. But he was one of the original, like, anime directors in LA. He kind of was on the forefront of that whole thing before anime became a cultural phenomenon even. And he said to me, I don't want you to know what's going on in the show. I just want you to come in and we're gonna do, Eddie, you recorded me on that, didn't you? Code Geass? Yeah, Eddie recorded me on the show. And we literally, like, I was bawling. And I was like, I wish you would have told me what. He's like, no, because then we wouldn't have got the performance that we got out of you. Like, it was so real and so, like, raw. And I was so wrecked. You know, just that whole thing, was awful. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Was it? They were like, I can't. Do you know, I hear that from more than you. Honestly. That's funny. I can't. For some reason, this is not. Yes?
Well, what was it like with Yoko and Kamina? And also, how whenever Yoko was with somebody, that person tragically died.
I know, right? Well, yeah. That was also very difficult. Did you guys see Gurren Lagann? Okay, that was another moment, like, I can say where those were like real tears that you heard when I was recording that because I didn't know
Oh yeah,
that Kamina was gonna die, and when he did, I was like, what? No, they cannot be. So I was literally like in tears.
Was Simon sad when Yoko wound up with Kamina?
I don't think so. Nah. Yes, sir.
How was that? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With your experience in the industry, what are some things you'd like to see more of in anime? Both in regards to the kind of stories being told on screen and the way that it's being produced behind the scenes.
Well, I will say that, like we had this conversation earlier in the Women in Anime panel. I find that now there's more like stronger roles for women, and it's getting away from, I mean, there's still definitely the typical characters that you find in the anime, but I think that I like seeing stronger female roles. I like seeing heroes, you know, and women who can hold their own, and not just that, you characters. It's just, what's it called? Kawaii, yeah. Which, I appreciate that, and I do that really well. And I do have a few characters like that I adore and love to pieces. But I really do love playing that strong female character. And as far as the production of anime behind the scenes, it's a pretty well-oiled machine at this point. Like, I don't know how we could make it better. I don't know how the production companies could really make it any better. It would be nice if because in the old days, writers used to get paid a lot more than they do now. And I think it's just a budgetary thing with shows, because there's so many more shows being made. They don't spend as much time on the writing that they used to, so what ends up happening is, if we're in studio, recording a character on a project that they haven't spent as much time on, it really shows, and we end up having to rewrite it to fit, There just ends up being a lot of rewriting that goes on in the booth, to make it fit, to make the mouth flap fit, and for it to be a good adaptation. So that would be my only thing. Spend more money on, paying the writers what they're worth, so that they can actually spend the time that they need to spend to do a proper adaptation. Yes?
How close do you feel with your video game characters, especially Resident Evil? Do you play them and follow the franchise too?
She's asking how close I feel with my video game characters. I played Resident Evil once, and I was really, really bad at it. Eddie has a Switch, and I've played Mario Kart a couple times, which is really super fun. But I honestly wish I had more time to play video games, but I just don't. I'm so slammed with life and work. That's kind of the last, it would be the bottom, I think, on the hobby list for me at this point. Yeah, but I wish I could, honestly. Yeah?
I'm kind of piggybacking off of her question.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, did you ever play Fire Emblem Awakening?
Did I ever?
Did you ever play Fire Emblem Awakening?
I did not. No, maybe I should.
If you get the chance, you should. I bawled my eyes out.
Oh, do we have that? We have it. Do we have it for the Switch? Well, guess what I'm going to be doing. Also, I wanted to tell you guys, I just created and produced and voiced in my own show that I did for Instagram and for YouTube. It's not an anime, it's a puppet show, and it's called My Thuggy Pony. So if you get a chance, please check it out. It's basically the whole idea, and actually Eddie plays one of the characters, Moco Loco. He's a Mexican mule. Thuggy Pony is a Thuggy Pony, and then I play Vanilla Bean Dream, who is a magical unicorn, and I also play Little Thuggy, who is My Thuggy Pony's son. And we have another character, Karen Rogers, who is our southern, she's like the super of the building. So it's basically Sesame Street meets South Central. And we're trying to just bring back the whole comedy thing of Eddie Murphy days and Richard Pryor, where nobody's safe, and we're pretty much making fun of everything, and just in a ridiculous way, because it's all puppets. So it's really, really fun. So will you guys check it out for me and follow us on Instagram and YouTube. It's My Thuggy Pony, MyThuGgie Pony. So yeah, and that was really super fun for me as a voice actress and as an actress, to put on a creator hat and put on a producer hat and actually see a project through from start to finish is really, really amazing and super satisfying. I was like, wow, I can actually, it's like, you know, it's just like the voiceover world or whatever it is you decide you want to do, like putting your mind to something and actually doing that thing is really like, and I don't know, it's just super, super satisfying. It's like, makes me feel good, like I accomplished something, you know?
Like how she wants it in the anime.
What?
Is he wants it something like that in the anime?
Yes.
Yeah, when they, I think it was when they landed in the area in the final boss fight.
You really like that show, huh?
Yes. I dressed up as Seymour.
Oh, you did? Oh, yes, you did.
This
That is real, right?
Oh, you got, yes, you do.
It actually spins. You want to see?
After, show me after. Any other questions? Yes. I have not, but I've heard. In the Bleach manga? Oh, wait, no, I don't know who she ended up with. Who did she end up with? What? Really?
Yeah. Ichigo ended up with Orihime.
I believe that. So they actually really like.
She became a captain.
Or he may became a captain?
Ruki.
Oh, I did. Of course I did. Of course I became a captain. Really? Okay, so they shipped Rukia and Renji. I'm kind of shocked about
They
that.
went the Naruto route and just started pairing people up left and right because they realized they ran out of time.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we better do it now, or, you know, that's crazy. Go ahead.
On the topic of Bleach, I came in a little late, so someone may have already asked for this, but if you had to pick one character from Bleach, besides the one you voiced, obviously that's your favorite, who would you go with?
Favorite character other than Rukia?
That's probably a default answer.
Yeah, I mean, I love my Rukia. I can't imagine playing anybody else, honestly. I mean, obviously, I love Ichigo, and I love what Johnny did with him, and I love what Stephanie did with Orihime. Like, I think the whole cast was incredible. So it's hard for me to say. Do I have to? Can I play Ichigo? Okay. I would choose him. Yes, sir.
Regarding My Thuggy Pony, I just want to get clarification. Something I think I heard. At one point, did you say that the Jim Henson Company, or at least part of Jim Henson, was working on it?
Not Jim Henson Company. I do have, I have two girls. The one girl, Melissa Doss, you can find her on Instagram as well, under Melissa Mad FX. She is a Henson puppeteer. She fabricated my puppets and also puppeteered for the show. And this another girl on Instagram, her name is Pamuel Jackson. That's not her real name, it's Pam Severns, but she's under Pamuel Jackson. She did Thuggy Pony. She brought Thuggy Pony to life. So she was, they both, honestly, I had no idea how important the actual puppeteering was. I don't know if any of you have ever puppeteered, but it's like, if you don't have a good puppeteer, it can ruin the show. Because there's so much that can be done with, like, if you watch the show, you'll see what Pam does with Thuggy Pony and how she moves him and his facial expressions. And it's just, she really brought him to life. Like, it's so incredible. And what Melissa did with Vanilla Bean and with Mocha Loco, it was just really cool to see. Yeah. But yeah, yes, they're both Henson girls. Pam just actually got a grant from Jim Henson's daughter. She's doing her own feature film right now called Bunny Love. So that'll be coming out soon. But she does like silent, she's like sort of a Charlie Chaplin vibe, you know, that like 20s silent film starlet. and she has this little bunny rabbit. I can't remember the name of the bunny now, but she does the bunny rabbit, and it's amazing. Like, she's incredible. I got really, really, really lucky and blessed to have them both. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Anybody else? Anybody else? Yes. You're all.
So, in your work with Baby Voice Acting, you probably had an opportunity to work with a lot of other well-known or not-so-well-known actors. So, in your time moving up to where you've gotten as a voice actor, is there one moment working with another voice actor that stood out to you most, or that impacted you the most that you can think of?
So, a moment that I had working with another voice actor?
Yeah, that impacted you or like inspired you to be more involved in it, or that was just like maybe funny or something like that, just something that sticks out.
Oh gosh, honestly, every day for me is like play. Like, I do not, there's days when I'm like, I'm getting paid for this. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm trying to think. I worked on something last week. What were we doing? We were doing something so silly. And I looked over, like, making, we might have been doing, like, I don't know, noises. I don't even remember. But I looked over at somebody next to me, and I was like, we're getting paid for this. And they were like, I know. And I'm like, crazy, right? Crazy. It might have been, I think we might have been doing demon noises for Charmed. I don't know if anybody watches Charmed.
It was on the WB a while back.
Yeah, it's back now, I think, on another.
It's different. It's not even.
It's not the same.
Not even the same story.
Okay, well, all of the witches are older now, right?
No, it's a whole bunch of kids.
Oh,
It's like
okay.
new people and everything.
It's their sisters. One was found. One realized that she was related to the other two after the mother died, just like the original one. But the storyline is different. They're like in their early.
They're late. Yeah, they all look like they're like mid-20s or something. So anyway, yes.
Have you ever gotten a role in anime or a game or even like commercials or narration or something that you just didn't feel too stellar about? You had to find a way to motivate yourself through it?
Yeah, that happens. That happens sometimes. I mean, there's times when I get asked to do something and I'm like, that's not really my wheelhouse, but I'll do it, you know.
You need to kind of get yourself in
You know, in moments like that, you have to get out of your head, you know? Because if somebody casts you for something, they're counting on you to bring your A game. So, you know, in that kind of an instance, all I can do is just try and bring my A game and, you know, do the best I can. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, you know? And not be upset about it or so connected to it. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, if it works, great. If it doesn't, have somebody else try it. But yeah, I mean, I'm in situations like that actually a lot, where I'm like, this doesn't feel right. And I'm like, well, I'm just gonna do it anyway. You know, hopefully just do the best. Do what I do, take my interpretation of whatever it is and do it in my interpretation and hope that it works. Make it my own. That's what we do anyway as actors. We have to make it our own, you know? And that's what people want. I mean, somebody's hiring you to make it your own. They're not, you know, they want you to bring a character to life, so you do the best you can to bring a character to life. That's all you can do. So, yes?
Have you ever thought of making your own anime?
Have I ever thought of making my own anime? Yeah, I actually have. Eddie and I have talked about it. We thought about doing our own video game. So we might do that. It's like, remember Christina, you guys know Christina V? She did Skullgirls. She produced and directed that all on her own. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Perhaps it can start, something like that can start with writing fan fiction, and then that could like move on to like character designs and stuff for your own show.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know if I have time though. I mean, I would really have to we'd really have to nail something down, you know, like this is exactly what we want to do. Because that would get time consuming and costly. Yes?
What's more consistently fun for you, like video games or like anime?
I prefer anime. I mean, video games can be fun. I just did a video game on Wednesday before I left, and it was a blast. It was super easy, like an hour session. And I got to do like 5 different characters. And it wasn't anything taxing on my voice, you know, that was super fun. But anime, I feel like getting immersed in a story, like I like kind of getting lost in a story. It's like, you know, reading a book for me. I enjoy that process and, you know, immersing myself in a character. Like, I feel like it's harder actually to go in an anime and play a character that's not as prominent, like not a lead or something, because you don't know as much about the story and about the other characters in the show. So you're sort of like, you know, you really have to count on your director to lead you. But yeah, I prefer anime, I would think.
Watch it, or like do you like read the script?
Read the script. Yeah, like when you're actually in the booth recording, I get very immersed in the story and in the show.
Well, like you never like watch it too, like after like it's like finished.
I mean, sometimes like we'll do, you know, screenings, or I'll watch a show. Like I know when I did Sword Art Online, we were live tweeting, which I like to do too with the fans while the show is airing, and that's fun. I like to do it that way. Yes.
You played Yukari from Persona 3 like a few times now.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people really don't like her, but what was your like opinion of like how?
A lot of people don't like her?
Yeah, no.
That's funny. A lot of people I know really like her. Why? Because she was snotty?
No, she causes more problems.
I think a lot of people didn't like her in like the Persona 3 after story a lot because she like, I guess like, she like seemed a little selfish and yeah, I guess a little snotty there. But I personally thought like she had like the most rate out of anybody.
She had the most what?
The most rate out of anybody to like complain in that instance because like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't write the scripts, so I don't really have a say in how a character, what their character is.
Yeah.
It's just my job to bring that character to life. So if she's, you know, if that character is a little snotty or a little, you know, selfish, then that's what I do. So, yes.
You're based out of LA.
Yes, LA.
Critical Role in D&D set and Matt versus D&D campaign has been growing immensely over the last year.
Yeah.
Has he ever approached you to guest on the show?
No.
Have you ever wanted to do D&D?
I mean, it would be fun. I've never played D&D, so I would like to play D&D. Like, I wished I would have. That's like the one thing I wished I would have done as a child, or in my younger years to start to learn is to play that game. But no, they have their crew, you know, and I'm not really a part of that, so I don't think he would ask. I would do it though if he did.
They have guest characters. They have guest.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna start no?
Let's start it now.
So I think that's it. We're done. I'm heading over to the Neko. Oh, pouting. I'm sorry. I'm heading over to the Neko Bazaar for autographs right now. So come on over.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Thanks for coming.